started.
Okay, good morning and welcome to this week's edition of NCompass Live. I'm your host, Krista Burns, vacationing here at the Computers and Libraries 2011 conference in Washington, D.C. NCompass Live is the Library Commission online event. We hold it every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time, which means 11 a.m. for us. And we do guest speakers, our own staff, all sorts of things, anything that may be interest of librarians across the state. This week is Michael Sauers, our Technology Innovation Librarian's monthly Tech Talk, we decided to do from Computers and Libraries. And we've gathered a whole bunch of our friends here to help us talk about it. And so now I'm going to just hand over to you to do your hosting.
Great. Welcome, everybody. As you can see, we did this from Internet Librarian back in the fall. We're trying, again, here from Computers and Libraries. Luckily now with the time change, it's a reasonable hour instead of getting together at 7:30 in the morning to do this. But, of course, we're also competing with actual sessions this time. So I want to thank everybody who's here, some of whom leave sessions. I'm not halfway through, but that's okay. We're not holding that against you. And the hotel bandwidth is kind of spotty, so we're doing the best we can here with the audio and the video. We can't make it any better. So if you could just bear with us, we are recording this. If you get cut off, dropped off, whatever, there will be a recording available. And so we're just going to kind of have a conversation about conference. I participated in another podcast that lasted 2.5 hours. We will not be going for 2.5 hours. We kind of have a hard hour to work with here on this. And so what we're going to do is just start by going around the group, let everybody introduce themselves, tell us where they're from, what they do, that sort of thing, and then we'll start a little discussion here. So we're going to start to my left, and then we'll come around the back here. So Maurice, why don't you go ahead?
My name is Maurice Coleman. I'm a technical trainer at the Harford County Public Library in northeast of Maryland. And the podcast Mike was talking about, called T is for training. I'm a technical trainer, is and other library management.
Jennifer, hiding behind Maurice here.
My name is Jennifer Corver, and I am a web services librarian at the Boston Public Library.
Great.
Hi, I'm Rachel Borchard. I'm the science librarian at American University, and I'm one of the co-producers of Adventure Brainstorm. It's an hour-long monthly podcast about library instruction, and it's at adlibinstruction.blogspot.com.
Cool. Oh, nice plug for your podcast.
Yeah, there you go. Feel free to plug. Okay there.
Hi, I'm Courtney Young. I'm the head librarian at Penn State History Campus.
Ooh, we'll have questions.
And more importantly, Courtney is also a member of what board?
The ALA Executive Board.
Ah.
Impressive.
Oh, we have more questions. And yes, this is being recorded.
I'm Colin. I'm the founder of LibraryThing. LibraryThing is for book lovers, and we also make some things to help libraries.
Great. Okay.
And I'm Jonathan Smith. I'm the Electronic Services Librarian at the Catholic University of America here in Washington, D.C. So since I'm a local, this is my, I think, 6th year at Computers and Libraries. And I tweet at librarian in lead speak. You can go follow me.
Nice. Ooh. Librarian in lead speak. Okay, wow. Okay. Usually provide links related to this. I don't have any prepared, but if mention things, we'll try to organize them and provide some links with the recording.
Or podcast,
so yeah,
you guys
give that to me afterwards, and we'll get that delicious for folks. So okay, I guess I'm going to just open it up. My first question, which may have an obvious answer, but what is the topic of conference? What is the hot thing? What are we talking about here?
Go ahead.
Maurice, anyone say it?
Because of the HarperCollins milieu and the response, both positive, negative, and reactionary and thoughtful from libraries, a lot of talk here about e-books. There's an entire e-book track yesterday, started with the vendors, ended with the librarian and using. And oddly enough, the librarians doing the end using were the most interesting tracks about how they use it, how they leverage it in their libraries. did they train staff? How they trained the staff? What did they train the staff on? Which technology? Because, as everyone in this room knows, there's no such thing as the standard ebook. There's no such thing as the standard ebook reader or ebook format. There's no standards.
Ebook DRM.
It's really the Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we tame the Wild West? That's what we'll talk about here in stuff. And a whole lot. That was a lot of the topics of conversation at CIL.
This is the Wild West and you're the Indians.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing, especially vendor session, just because I'm kind of dealing with this stuff personally in our organization, and I wanted to hear from the vendors, and it was the comment from the audience is we need to be in the conversation. We feel like we've been left, the librarians, the end users have been left out of that conversation.
With the quote I heard the very first day of the conference on that keynote was it's not even that we're not at the same table, we're not even in the same restaurant, people.
We're in the cheap restaurant. They're Ruth Chris. Right? Have we reached a point where ebooks are pretty much inevitable? Nobody, has anybody heard anybody going, I'm still not sure of this technology? Well, I mean, it's happening. We have to deal with it. There's no...
Well, the question is what it reaches. Does it go to 50% install? How long does it take to get there? I mean, that's a very significant question. Is it go 100% in 2 years? No.
Is it going in this format 100% in 2 years? It's going to be on the iPad that Jonathan used. It's going to be on the whatever device you all have in your hands. It's going to be one of those. It's going to be a dedicated device such as the Sony Kindle Nookie thingy pad. It's going to be on a Google Book. Is it going to be an individual thing? What is it going to be? Access it. The folks who can't buy butter, are they going to get an ebook reader? Probably not.
Probably not, no.
But, well, okay.
Well, the price of Kindle is going to zero. I mean, if you look at
That's the prediction.
If that happens, yeah, that'll happen. But then if the price goes to zero, Amazon's going to make its money on the individual book, and these people may not buy those individual books.
And none of that works with libraries.
Right now,
That is a sole source content.
Yeah, the Kindle is the least
yep.
library friendly of them all at the moment.
Yeah. Now, the interesting bit I did hear from the Overdrive guy in that was the ebook certification program, where they're working to have e-readers that will work for library Overdrive content that you can check out to a user. So, like somewhere they bought Kindle content, okay, Overdrive-friendly device that you could check out to a patron, and then they could check Overdrive on it without having their own computer at home.
And some places are doing that. We're about to embark on an experiment. We're asking download stations. First of all, we're doing download stations in each branch for two purposes. Number one, to help truly train our librarians on the device and more on the how-to, not device-specific. Just how do I think of getting this electronic piece of content from here to here? And get the devices, let them play with them and say, okay, this is a way to do it, to help them custom that electronic content from here, to their devices they can actually read in the shower.
Ooh, okay.
What?
Sorry.
They're going to be waterproof?
Waterproof.
Yeah, right. Important part.
Okay, behave, folks. Other comment? I mean,
I'm not sure about the dedicated e-reader, especially for libraries, simply because mobile devices are becoming so ubiquitous everywhere. I think until people can actually choose what device they put their e-books on, it's not really going to take off unless it looks everywhere. The problem right now is formats is getting a little bit better, but then also all the vendors developing their own apps now, proprietary apps. I'm not going to name names, but
that's fine.
It's I want to go to one place to read my e-books on the device that I choose and be able to pull it from all.
You want freedom of choice.
But you're losing that. I mean, the most popular e-book by far, they've got the market, the Kindle was supposed to lock down one. So if that were determinative, in which it was determinative, if that were determinative, it would have determined already.
Well, and the same thing happened originally with Apple and the iPod and music, and now with PC they're moving up and figuring out other ways than that go.
But even they offer DRM-free MP3s, which are, I think is where that's going.
Right. I've been saying all conference that, and I've said last week in a presentation I gave public that it's one of those areas where we're just not sure yet. We don't know because the industry doesn't know. Because the industry doesn't know how it's going to continue to profit and conduct its business model off of this.
So
They've got to figure that out, and then once they figure out, we just need to be along for the ride. No, we need to be able to drive the car.
Yes. At least, yeah. Well, and all this complexity and freaking out, because a lot of this, what it boils down to is copyright issues, which I don't want to completely move the conversation to that. But as I like to say, which I will completely credit Cory Doctorow, is, you know, now with copyright, wait till it's trademarked, because we can print our own Nike. You know, then it gets way more interesting.
or at the library.
Or at the library, you know, put in a 3D printer. I mean, and what can you do with that? And you know, make your own physical objects, not just copy content. Now you're copying physical objects. Yeah, that's that gets really, and you know, print your own AK-47. I mean, you know, it really goes out there. So,
Print your own you.
Print your own you. Yeah. Wow. Anyways,
what's the takeaway for your librarians in Nebraska? Your librarian who, I am the library because I am reference, I am CERT, I am tech services, I am delivery, I am the page for one little card. What ebook takeaway for that? Where does it fit into their plans for this coming year and maybe 2 or 3 years from now?
Yeah, I've been trying to answer that question, and at a certain level, I don't deal with that directly. But being the technology guy, you know, I have those conversations, and I don't mean specifically Nebraska. I'm saying overall, we need that training. We need to fill in those knowledge. Unfortunately, it's not that straightforward because there's so many different combinations. There's so many different things. You know, there's been a lot of talk of we're going to get e-readers and then lend them out to the libraries just to play with. And I got to be honest, last week when you talked to me about that, I'm like thinking all the problems with what do you hook them up to and the authorizations and the whatever. You know, to be honest, as of this morning, I'm like, please just get them in their hands.
Yes.
We'll work out those details later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you make a great point because yesterday in the ebook session, Sue Blanca, looking at my Twitter, they said that, you know, remember the account forms and technology associated with ebook collections. And she also mentioned something about, you know, severing this notion of you know, from content.
Can I change that?
Of course.
Libraries don't need to know every single thing. They need to know where to find it. That is a big, big difference. For some reason, when it comes to technology, there is this great haze in a library. Well, every single thing, every single format. My mother has to ask me about every single thing. No, you don't need to know. You need to know where to find the information. Shakespeare's Folio. Let me ask you a question. Can you recite every single word of The Two Gentlemen of Verona? No. Then what makes you think you should know every single ebook reader? Nothing. Well, I don't know why. That's exactly it. Know where to find what you do as an information professional. You find the good information. And then you help use that information for whatever they want to do.
So this notion of having to know what knows what is more of a barrier than an opportunity.
Yes, because you should know what services your library provides. You should know those pretty well. Everyone in your branch or system should know those. The other stuff you don't service, you can say, okay, I don't know that, but here's 4 great resources for this. Here, this is doing this. Here's this place doing that. They've had this success. Why don't you go there and explore what you can do? I know you have a Kindle. Kindle does not work well with us. That's on them. But here are some resources for you to use your Kindle. And you can get books or DRM free books for your Kindle.
Yeah, the fun part is that we good, bad, or otherwise, we offer Overdrive so the patrons will expect us to be able to make it work for them because it is our service. So,
and that goes along with saying we should make it work as much as we can.
True, yeah.
Well, one of the things that before I was a web services person, I was out branches for more than a decade, and one of the things I always loved about being a children's librarian, an adult reference librarian, was that as I answered questions for my patrons, I learned more about whatever it was they were asking me. My ways, because I got to learn more about subjects that I never would have attempted part of history, what have you, and just various topics that reference questions and answering their homework questions, I learned more about those topics.
Sure.
This is another place where we can, if we approach it with that mindset of this is something where as we find out together, help you find that information that you're looking for, I'm learning something more about it too. And just because it comes with screen doesn't mean that it's scary in a way that learning about physics by screen kids' homework project is.
Sure. I'm going to jump in here. We have someone join us.
Just for
Hi.
Hi.
You want to quickly introduce yourself to the group?
Marty McGee, many of you may know me. I'm the Nebraska liaison for the National Library of Medicine. I mean, lots of here too, and it's the easier topic at the moment.
Well, and my question to you then is are ebooks an issue for you, and if so, how?
We're not coming into it yet too much. Not too many medical books are yet available. But I have some interesting things here, and things that I'm going to recommend that libraries try. I listened to a great presentation the other day about a group that got a $5,000 grant. They bought 4 iPads. They gave them to 4 students, and then they had those students blog about how they used those iPads over the course of the year. And I thought that's a great way to figure out how your users are really getting into some of the resources and what difficulties they're having as well. Because there's 2 sides to everything. Every iPad isn't going to do everything that you want to do, but it's going to do some different things that maybe you didn't do before. So I think that's the whole thing. I just came from one presentation that said curiosity is your biggest asset, and I think that's what it is.
That's why we work in this. That's why we do this for customer service and for intellectual curiosity. Or at least
We don't do it for the pay.
We do it for intellectual curiosity. Folks are burnt out, and when we say that, we're starting because they want to know why. People want to know why, and where can I find out why? And for some reason, that goes numb when we talk about technology for some folks. That just is a dead end.
Well, I think it's really easy for grants here for all of this. We need to be technology. It really doesn't like our library is supposed to be doing everything at once. And I think it's worthwhile to recognize that you don't have to do all of it right away.
Right.
And then when you say, oh, they're kind of like us, I see our trends responding well to this, then you can go ahead and try it. You don't have to be first on the block. And that's what Compass are about. What's working for other libraries and what can it take and apply?
The thing about it is this one where topics like this are presented as a zoo. Here's this, here's this, everything, here are all these options. It's like, no, it's like 3 or 4 basic principles you should, everything else will be a year from now. in terms of facility there, who owns this restriction? And so you kind of move from the zoo to here or something like that.
Not necessarily, we don't have to respond to every, we need whatever.
Yeah, and the thing that I also pick up from all of these conferences and bring back is we don't have to know everything. We don't have to have all the answers yet. It's the awareness that matters, because the awareness will then help us find answers for our users, for our patrons. Because saying, oh yeah, I heard about that thing, I know it's in this category of information, therefore we need to look over in this category of resources to look for your answers. And again, if I go back to, it's like knowing the rest of your collection. You need to know approximately where you're going to find those, so you can answer their questions.
And in my case, it's a lot of times then I can email or contact. Heard you were, trust me, if they one of these conferences, they will happily answer your questions.
Right.
Because all of the speakers will.
Because they spoke at the conference, they decided to come here and share what they're doing to be able to uplift the profession.
Right.
That's a conference. That's why you're doing this. All you folks in Nebraska, you all can't make the schlep on what, 3 or 4 different connections.
Well, usually Chicago. So yeah, it feels like it's more connections. Yeah.
Go to O'Hare and try to go from one to the other.
Yeah.
But that's connection. You do this to uplift the profession, and that's why we do this. We sort of talk amongst ourselves. Sometimes at these conferences, we feel, yes, we're to the choir. Sometimes you get that one who is part of
look at the that person who's totally answer your question could go there, and we are trying to do not to do it, and totally they'll help you.
Krista brings up a really good point. All the various electronic conferences, such as one, they're ALS for the most part, and Internet Librarian, the presenter information, the contact information, is probably the most vital thing in the conference. You read a conference description, wow, that's really cool. Let me email that person. Let me follow that person on the Twitter thing. Let me follow that person doing and talk to them. Everyone's willing to share. Yes.
Most of it, yeah.
More additional valuable speakers.
Hey, more people. There's a door over there, so as we wave to people and then wave them over, that's what's going on here. We got a shifting.
People going as they go and show up. You come over
Yeah.
here if you want.
Go ahead. No,
sorry folks, I put on my hosting hat. But I like
it's a discussion. Okay, well let's let Louise introduce herself as she gets settled and yeah.
I'm Louise Alcorn. I'm the reference technology librarian at the West Iowa Public.
Cool.
I'm here.
Yep, and you've completely missed it. So
Fantastic. That just gets my blood pressure up.
Yeah.
What have we seen here that books that's of interest that anybody found interesting?
I from the Nebraska Law Firm, that was in the
Marty?
chat I moderated that. One of the very first things, the Darien Library, Gretchen Castorati, talked about the social pact, really bridging social technology, social interaction, some real library thing, into your make it natural for people. how do my customers think about this book? Let's tag the book that way so other customers. What the customers think is completely different than what librarians think. Completely different. But to serve the customer, sometimes you have to think like a librarian, and they're not to think like a librarian. You're going to think like a customer. And making the way they find books match the way they think makes for a better experience when you come back into a library.
Well,
Go ahead. We're actually moving to a social impact now. I've been doing presentations to my staff on it for the past couple of months. We've done some presentations to the public as well, and I'm going to be doing video fully like with it. But it's not just that we're thinking like them. We are finally making our public catalog interface like what they're used to seeing on the web. It looks like Amazon. It acts like Amazon, or Goodreads, or any of these other places where they can use tags. They can where everything is clickable and every piece of information that you see on the screen leads you to additional information in a way that makes sense, and in a way that the subject headings are library headings are still there, and you can click on them and get.
Allow more than 3 since we're no longer on cards.
Exactly.
Okay.
You can get things like people's comments and ratings. It's those things where I literally, when I saw this vendor demo, and I will stay vendor neutral, but there are many of the vendors do things that look very similar to this. I wept as a reference librarian and as a public librarian. I wept tears of joy because of how much easier this was going to make my job in helping folks find what they're looking for, because it all finally made sense that our public catalog did not in any way, shape, or form.
We're actually in the process of maybe looking into different ILS, fuzzy. But there's a few of us who are at the public service end of the staff who are very sensitive things simply be available. We may not do them right away, but to make sure that they are part of the product, that they are able to make the product in some fashion. Because we know definitely this is public service now. It's what the public is expecting, and therefore it is public service. It is kind of interesting because there are questions about, well, how are we going to administrate this? How are we going to keep things fluid? One of the questions I have is, will people have the ability, for instance, research from home, to just turn that stuff off? Because there's going to be plenty of people who are like, I just don't care. I just want to find this book. Don't give me all this nonsense. I don't care what other people think. And I'm asking, and if they can't, people are used to a lot of clutter in their life anymore, and so they just love. But I really feel like there's something there. At the same time, we also have to get our staff kind of up and ready, and I don't want to necessarily suddenly it goes, we have to buy the product and everything's turned on and everything's crazy and none of us understand it. I don't think that helps all much either. I think there's a middle ground for any of that.
As someone, one of my jobs has been facilitating the staff in when to use this, and I'm pointing out to them, and every time I present on it, I do it more efficiently, is that this is not a product that's going to add to your workload in any way, shape, or form. Even though there's all this opportunity for tagging, there's all this opportunity for creating lists, for adding content, for adding adding comments and reviews and things. But this is a product that's going to make our lives smoother and help us do the things we already do more easily. And as I walk through and demonstrate how you can take a book list that used to be this static page on a website that you couldn't do anything with, and is now an integrated part of the catalog and can be very dynamic, and you can add things and remove things and change things up easily. So burst out their heads and the light bulbs go on, and even the ones who are initially overwhelmed by it are able to start adding those filters in. And so it's just been a fascinating process for me to watch.
And realistically, I think my better argument with this kind of thing is actually that, and this way, the patrons are doing more self-service. And ironically, we have a brand new strategic plan that includes increased self-service for patrons, which they've been asking for. Makes sense, and makes sense because we know our staffing levels are not going to improve in the next 3 to 5 years. So to be able to empower them, rather than just saying no, to instead have a product that empowers them to do it themselves, you know, whatever minor assistance they may need from us, I think fits our strategic plan, fits the long-term reality as opposed to the dream, and I think just also makes us look like we're actually being responsive, which is always good. I'm really interested to see what will be created by our patrons. I think the other thing, the argument I've been using is we get readers' advisory questions, and I don't know about anybody else, but that's the most terrible question in the world is, please tell me what book to read.
And a lot of these
I don't know how you do
have
it.
that
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Well,
they have a similar titles where anybody can add a similar, and I do mean anybody, staff, patrons, you name it, they can add, as long as they're a registered user of the system, they can add similar titles.
Right.
And now you have a very fascinating way to look at what people think are similar titles to whatever it is. Because somebody could see Eat, Pray, Love and think a similar title is about the inspirational aspect of it. Somebody else looks at Eat, Pray, Love and talks about the travel memoir aspect of it. And somebody else looks at it and talks about the woman self-empowerment portion of it, or the romantic entanglement portion of it. And now you
Now I don't need to read it.
you didn't need to read it anyway.
Well, yeah, okay, all right.
And also,
I don't need to
so
do that.
now you've got so many different perspectives, because if you just ask one staff person, it's a good book to me, you're getting that one staff person's thoughts on what would be a good book given the parameters. Now you've got everybody's.
well, not only that, but you have, you know, your neighbors, we have a tendency to almost overthink it. They literally just want, just tell me something like it. Don't go, you know, because I'll be like, well, do you like the romantic aspect? Do you like this or that? You want to like a list of possibles, but click on it if it doesn't make sense to you. You know, they don't want a big long interview. They don't want to be quizzed as to, or find, you know, the book to read, and they really don't care.
Tim, actually, let's go back here for a sec. Go ahead.
Okay, I would just make
Sure.
since there are a number of products out there that are available now, there's a pretty good, competition going on. Don't just assume that you know what features you're going to want. You may come up with this beautiful new, web OPAC or social thing. Make sure you run some usability tests. I know that word usability can be kind of scary, but you can learn so much from just talking to a few of your users. Just show them and say, what do you think? Do you like what that button is? Does this make sense to you?
I think also we have the advantage of not being at the bleeding edge of it in these products for a little bit. And I am really big on literally calling them up and saying, tell me your experience, tell me what you hate, tell me what you love. Because I think we get a nice triangulation at that point.
Sure.
If we can talk to enough people using their products to at least get a rough idea of questions to ask our users.
No. Tim, you're kind of the other end of this equation.
Yeah, I can't say much without talking about my company, but
Okay.
I like to think of things as rehumanizing the library in ways that are not new. That librarians have been suggesting to people what to read for. The OPAC, is this desiccated view of what the librarian used to tell you. And some of these things they reintroduce. I mean, patrons have been talking together about books too for millennia. When I was at the Boston Athenaeum, the private library in Boston, they used to have in the back of their books in the 20s, if you would like to write a short review under 4 words, it was 4 words.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. That's what they get for them to
Please break up.
But bringing some of this back, and I think the best of it is doing it, and it's not, it's bringing the humanity back in the library in ways that I think are good.
Well, and as Jennifer said when she wept tears of joy, my librarian soul, I've always felt strangled by card catalogs, by online catalogs. They were a great tool, and they were an extraordinary tool when we needed them. And certainly the move from the cards to the ability to, for instance, keyword search was huge. But at the same time, we know we've only been giving them the tip of very lush and deep.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think part of the long tail of this is also some sort of social OPAC will also become institutional memory.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to librarian Jay, who retires after 40 years at the children's desk? The woman who could look at some kid, walk in, pick out 6 books that kid will think of in 30 years. What happens to her or his brand when they retire? It goes away. This becomes institutional memory.
If you use it like that, and I think that's a really good point to make, that if you're going to get one of these products, the first people who should be adding, if you like this, then this, are the people who can tell you people, if you like this, then this, for years and years.
And librarians have been making those lists. They've just been making it on the website, which is totally divorced from the OPAC.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
And
hopefully
static.
you're starting to get some confluence of the two things, static URLs. It's
But it's
pathetic
better-
that we're still talking about that. But
It's better than paper.
it's
Those things are better than paper.
Rolodex cards. Come on.
Well, and the part I just had while we were all sitting here is that a tradition that existed in the long ago and then stopped for a while because nobody wants to read the library book, but this is a way that we can bring back that marginalia. Those notes that famous authors all put into their library, their local library copies of things, and that we love and treasure now. And instead now of scribbling, instead of scribbling versions of the library book, which we should not do because if you don't own it, you shouldn't write it. But if you own it, put it down. Is now we can take whatever those notes and what those scribbles are and put them into those social OPACs and put
make
them
sure
in as
that
content.
that's where these things are converging, is that
Right.
ebooks are becoming social objects,
Right.
and I mean,
I was to say,
in ways that are both comfortable and uncomfortable.
But I think, I know we just did a long discussion this week about how ebooks are taking over our lives, and you're either you may be in the camp that text as a holdable object is going to whatever. I don't believe so. I believe that there's going to be a wonderful new array, a spectrum of possibilities. But if all of them, even the can still have, as it were, additional data attached from the social, that's exciting.
Yeah.
To be able to pick up the latest whatever Jasper Ford, which is actually reading now, and have somebody else almost like reading along with me, in whatever way, or even somebody else recommending, oh, by the way, if you like this, because you're going to be so sad when it's done and there's not another one coming for 2 years, here's some more that you might want to read, and here's why. And I think that here's why is the thing that makes me all excited and makes my little librarian heart beat all aflutter, because I don't want to just say, because, novelists or, one of these products will tell you why. And it's to tell you, what similarities they have, but it's mostly by, again, subject area, which is just amuses me. It's like, women, romance, fiction, whatever. But, travel, memoirs, click whatever you like out of this. Which I think, again, that's a powerful tool. But to have somebody say, oh, I loved it because of the author's use of words, or I loved it because of the location. It was so lushly described. That's the kind of stuff. That's why I love everything, and why I love Goodreads, and why I love even Amazon. Because I read those darn reviews, and people who speak like I do and think like I do are saying, "This is why I like it." That's so powerful.
And you talk about the emotional response to a book in a way that we could never capture before.
Yep.
How that emotional content is available for other people to see and respond to within the context of our catalogs.
LCSH is the least emotional, most sterile, and it, again, has its uses.
Right.
It is.
I'm going to pull this back together because this is why other that aren't live go for 2.5 hours. These great conversations, and I will point to T is for Training, great podcast, especially if you like this conversation. We had about a dozen of us last and went for 2.5 hours, and probably would have kept going, but we all got really hungry and needed to go to dinner. So and that was at 10 o'clock last night. So Well, we got time, but I wanted to ask. I need to put somebody on the spot. We have a nice here. So you're safe there. Okay. But your first time at conference. Impressions, thoughts. I literally pulled you out of the hallway pretty much to come to this thing. So welcome.
Thank you. I've been having a great time. The sessions have all been really interesting. Of course, there's been sort of heavy-handed ebook conversations. One of the things that I went to that I wanted to, you asked like what else has been going on. I went to one of the Cyber Guide sessions that they're taking place over in the exhibit hall, and it was about design and thinking about design obviously for sort of mobile users. I was thinking about it also in terms of design for doing things such as presentations or library instruction, and she talked about sort of some of the she talks a lot from the concept of this idea, or the idea of the double rainbow that really was, that trended and, got responses, and, doing sort of mashup, making things sort of personal and inspired. And that's the big pieces that I've been sort of carrying around as I've gone through different sessions and different pieces. So it's been a great conference in terms of everyone's been really friendly. I think that's an important piece of going to a conference is just an atmosphere. It's been very comfortable, and people drag you in from the hallways to come in and talk about things. So it's been a really great conference, and I'm enjoying myself quite a bit.
What got you to want to come to this conference in the first place? Why did you choose to come here? How did you end up here?
One of the main reasons I decided to come here is I started a position in September where I'm the head of the library that I'm at now right now, and I thought that in this sort of middle manager kind of position that I need to start thinking about my library as number one as my library, and also think about things in a more different and strategic sort of way. And I thought that this conference in particular would be useful for me to sort of get in, look at the landscape. I go to ALA and participate in ALA, but I thought I need to think about my library and things that I'm doing, things that are going on. And this, so I won't bring any of the sort of perceptions and bias, the things that I feel like I sort of know to give my library. It's been really refreshing, I think, and helpful in that way.
Yeah. You'll come back?
Absolutely.
All right. Next year,
and
right?
And I signed up to be a blogger for the conference too.
All
so
right.
That's been helpful getting me sort of advance in more depth the things that I've been attending. So.
Okay. Now next year you'll be a presenter, right?
I've been told.
We should look with Colleen Harris if you're doing management stuff.
Yeah.
Colleen Harris and Mary Carmen Chimato, they're doing, and Rebecca Rogers, they're doing a free conference on management at ALA. I promise you, it's New Orleans, but you probably won't have more fun with alcohol involved than a free conference. Simply because they know what they're doing, and it's honest management lunch. Those of you who are in management who get a chance to go to ALA, I would recommend it heavily. It really is straight talk about management and about dealing with your employees.
It's not management. They will tell you straight when something's just stupid.
Right.
And why it's a bad idea in my purpose, and why we need to stop doing this or that. And they're really good.
You'll hear the word, and sometimes they need to be fired.
Yeah. Which you don't.
You don't hear it. You just don't hear the words in our profession, because we want to help everybody. And there are limits. And I'll leave it at that because we only have an hour.
The people who are watching this, should they be fired?
No, of course not.
No, they should not. But
No.
I bet you a bunch of them, they know somewhere that there's someone that perhaps they've been working with trying to make a better employee. And
I'm going to go so far as to say if they're watching this, they're already the employees I want.
yeah,
I
want them.
Yeah, if they're willing,
I want
to
that.
think outside the the day-to-day grind that they're not, and they're willing to say, yeah, I'm going to be at that conference, but I want to know what the heck is going on, and maybe I want to go next year, and maybe I'll write up a proposal, and yay.
And it's also just the general people that, I mean, this is our big thing. We have some regulars.
Yeah.
That no matter what the topic is, there are some people that are on, and maybe they're right now.
We're talking.
Yeah. And this is their thing. They keep up with what, and we have our range of topics is all over the place. Yeah. And so they're, taking that effort to do it. And these things are recorded. We look at our statistics. We get more people watching the recordings than attending the live ones. Not everybody can be here at 10 a.m. Central Time. That's okay.
Thank you all for showing up with us.
Yeah.
Really, it's nice to know that this exists for a library somewhere. That you all are really doing this. You are better informed than, say, 80% of the profession at this moment. So you are the tech leaders in your library. Welcome to the club. You're the tech leaders.
Yeah, and we always do tech topics by any stretch, but yeah, I mean,
this is your week, so this
is the tech week, right?
You're the tech leader in your library.
By making addition, not only tech leaders, but by, I find in my institution, the folks who know that they want professional development, they make the time in their lives and in their work lives for professional development, which y'all are doing. You're it. You are, I don't care how old you are, how long you've been in the profession, how little you've been in the profession, where you are in your institutions, you're it. You're who's moving forward and who's moving forward because you're moving forward.
Yeah, we're going to be this kind of thing. Do you want to break an idea? Do you want to get on board? Do you want to be part of it? And that's when the exciting things happen. That's when you get social OPACs being created. Is when people start having. I mean, I remember people talking about it 10 years ago. That's this wonderful idea. OPACs are starting. So the stuff going on. We're like, okay, we're going to keep an eye on this. Maybe we're not directly involved. We are going to be engaged. We're going to be keeping an eye out for it. We're going to be making sure we know, what's going on, so that when time comes to pounce, we're going to be the pounce and really make it work for our users.
And I'll say, when I saw library thing for the first time, I said, oh, right.
Yeah.
This is a thing that's going to be big, and it's going to continue to be big, and even not just that particular, this concept of being able to put the contents of your own personal libraries out into the world for people to share and to talk about and to get it.
Should have brought the rhino.
Let me do a plug for this conference, and that is that I go to lots and lots of conferences, right? And if library team dies or fired or whatever, I will come to this conference socially. But the people here are great, and there's I don't know about you guys, but I have someone who's like, I went to the morning and I'm gonna look at the sites all afternoon. People are really here to see the things, to talk to people. So many of the good people who you know from Twitter blogs are here, and so if you have any opportunity to come here, I would come here someday. It's awesome. But
the real takeaway from this conference is the conversations.
Yes. The sessions provide the structure. The conversation provide the work.
So there's less people.
It's about 2,000 people.
everyone has a 10 by 10 basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And a big shout to ITI that runs the conference and provide the space for this thing, for the group that run the activities, and so to make this thing run almost seamlessly. It's almost seamless background. If anyone has ever run even a library conference in your library, it is impossible to make it run seamlessly.
Because the monitor is about 6 feet from us, so can't we text that small? So does anyone make other comments or anything that they want to get on the record?
That if you are promoted and you'll all look at it personally and professionally, this is a conference I paid to come on my own. I mean, granted, I come here, which Boston and Washington, D.C. is not that big of a deal. I also go to Internet Librarian in Monterey, which is getting out there and making that time. And this is somewhere I actually, our travel budget here, and I still make this time. And it's still I don't know the first conference, but the conversations.
Yes, yes.
And you just hear about different things, even if you know, in your hearts and souls that you can never implement any of this stuff. You hear about it, and it might spark the thing that you can implement. It might spark the piece that you can do.
Well, I was saying, you're going to come away with like 10 things. Of those 10 things, one of them you're probably going to do. That's okay. Because if you can take that one thing and be really passionate about it, you're going to
And Alan encouraged, and I realize that public speaking is scarier for some of us than others. But, if you get on the, first of all, we're always looking for new people. Sometimes it's like it's always the same speakers. Well, we're the people who submit. I mean, that's, and that's how I started this, was I came to this in literally like, I think it was like 97, and I went up to leaders, and I'm like, why are they presenting on, it was literally a presentation on, here's how we implemented Gopher in our thing. It was 97, the West had already been around for years. And I'm like, this stuff's so out of date, it's not even funny. He said, fine, you present. And it took a couple of years, but I eventually, no, exactly, and put you where your mouth is, and things have happened because of that. So always looking for new presenters, and to the money thing, which made me think of it, if you're a speaker, you get it in the conference for free.
Which actually makes a difference if you're trying to negotiate with your employer. Okay, I've given you free registration. Let's
yes.
Yeah, halfway, and I'll and figure it out. I've done many because I feel it is important for professional development, and I don't just mean like my professional. I mean like for a library, because what I can bring back to my library is actually worth me paying a little money, them paying a little money, me presenting and making myself crazy to present. It's all worth it. Because what I bring back, I couldn't really get anywhere.
And for those who can't make it to DC, make your state make your Nebraska Library Conference, not to say it's because some organizers are here, make your state library conference in library. So you make the conference the way you want. You do not see something at the state library conference that someone's presenting on that you would like to know about or you can share, go share it.
Mm-hmm.
Go be the presenter. Go be the person on stage saying, this is what we did in my library in Omaha. We were able to do these 3 things. This is what we learned. This is how it affects you.
Mm-hmm.
And how you can learn what we did.
Yeah, and even if it didn't work.
Oh,
Especially,
no.
yes.
Especially if there's a site on it. It should still be called failberry.org.
Yeah.
The things that failed. You learn from failure. You learn from someone driving the drive-through sign, which is a slide in my presentation today. There you go. About it's okay. And Jennifer,
and even if you have, I've been talking the past couple of conferences. I've been talking an idea what might it look like? What might this training program look like? What could it look like? There's some possibilities. That's been what I've been presenting on. By this fall, I'm going to get to present on what it actually looks like because I'm finally getting to implement it. Because even if it's something that you can't implement now, if you present on it and you ask the questions, and you ask other people to ask those questions, they might give you answers and thoughts and other questions that might help you develop an idea into something you can do. And so you don't have to present on things you have, things you might do, things you did that worked, things you did that didn't. And you can do a big, long presentation. You might get to be part of a panel, or you could do a 15-minute cyber tour. I mean, it's just, there are lots of ways to do this stuff.
it's herd cats, isn't it, man?
Yes, it is herding cats. And speaking of cyber tours, I have one in 30 minutes that I have to give. So we are going to start to wrap this up. First of all, I want to throw out, usually at the ends of these, I have some links and things to show people. I just want to mention one quick thing for regular watchers of my Tech Talks. You know I'm into the security stuff, and we've talked about Facebook and Wi-Fi security and things like that. We'll throw out that Twitter now offers a login securely option that you can set in your Twitter account settings. It's always use secure login or always use HTTPS. It's a force things you can do now in Twitter, so it's not hard to find. So I just want to throw that out there. Then also want to thank all of these wonderful people. Even the ones I really pulled out of the hallway. Yeah, especially you. And yes, welcome. Trial by fire. We really totally appreciate this. And then I'm going to
thank ITI for setting us up in this room.
I know. We totally got parents like, we need a room 11 o'clock on Wednesday. Can you find us something? And they did. And so we at the hotel for let's have that. And so I'm going to throw it back to Krista here to wrap up.
Oh yes. So thank you for attending this week. We hope you'll join us next Wednesday when it will be Michael again, but all by himself this time. Not with the
Well,
team.
you'll be there.
Oh, I'll be there.
Okay, yeah, these will not be there, but you're all welcome to attend.
We're back in Nebraska,
yeah.
or he's going to give us a brief introduction to CSS, which has been so on our website and our upcoming sessions. Like I said, we're live every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. So join us, and everything is recorded. So you can also look at our archives. We've got a little over 2 years worth now of sessions. You can go back and watch and listen to it. Hopefully, learn something new from us.
All right. So, thank you all for come to conference next year if you can.
Join us
and that's what.
Yeah, we'll see you next
we're
week.
done.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.